Hi, Gary Zacharias here. This is our 16th video that we're working on for this English Essentials series. We've been looking at academic writing, especially the single paragraph and the multi-paragraph essay. Then we moved to some grammar skills and transitions and punctuation and things like that. And this is number 16. We're taking a look this time at reading skills. And this is something I don't feel like I have to push very hard to get people to realize the value of. And so I'm in our textbook here. You're welcome to get a copy. Email me, I'll send you a PDF, free copy of it. And I'm on page 77, talking about reading skills. So I don't have to read much of this because this is something that I'm sure everybody's going to buy into, that people who are successful in life are good readers. And whether it's for fun or for the serious end of life, we all want reading skills. So what I'm going to do, I think might be more effective than me just talking to you, is to show you an essay in a minute. It's called Afflictions of Affluence. And what I want to do is to go over the items that are at the bottom of the page here. Maybe I'll just go over them real briefly right now, and then I'm going to turn this off and set up an essay for you to look at here. But these are the skills involved if you want to be a serious reader, to be a good reader. So the first skill is to anticipate. What does that mean, to anticipate? Well, first of all, if you're in a class and you're given an assignment, you want to know, what are we reading this for? Are we supposed to just get the big ideas? Are we supposed to memorize the small stuff? Is this going to be on a test? Is this something that we're supposed to react to personally? Why are we doing the assignment? And then if it's not that, then certainly we want to anticipate by looking maybe at the name of the author. Maybe that'll ring a bell. Maybe the title will suggest something. We might want to look at any subheadings or introductory material that's there. So that's before we really read even a single sentence in the essay. That's anticipation. So beginning to think about it. Then number two is to mark it up. Oh, I thought I had a pen here. But this is crucial to have a pen with you. When you're marking up a text, you're interacting with that text. And more than just underlining, you want to do more. You want to maybe annotate, which means you're jotting notes. So if you decide this is something you need to know really, really well, you put first point off to the side, or you put good point if you want to interact and say you disagree or agree or disagree with it. So a pen is extremely useful to have as you're going through the text. You want to read it more than once. First time through, you may be just trying to figure out where the ideas are, and then you can go back and highlight and do whatever you want to. So make sure you have a pen or pencil with you to mark up a text. I can't tell you how many times in my classes at school, at college, I'll assign an essay, next day come in, and as I'm getting ready to talk to the class, I'll look out at some of the student papers. They'll have their book sitting there, and the book looks really clean, really neat. It hasn't been marked up, it hasn't been jotted down, there's nothing there. And it's kind of discouraging because frankly, they're not going to remember as much unless they're actually marking it down. Number three is to read for main ideas. Now, how do you distinguish? The main ideas don't come with neon lights flashing saying main idea, main idea. So we'll talk about how we can find main ideas when we look at this particular essay. Number four, making sure you really understand what's in there. The author may make a reference to a historical person. You don't know who that is. Well, you don't want to just say, I have no idea. Go check it out. Find out who that person is. Maybe it's a word. Maybe it's a phrase. It's some kind of reference and you don't get it. You need to check those things out because whatever you're reading is probably what the typical American who's in some kind of power position ought to know. So you want to check those out. And then five, if necessary, create a summary. Put in your own words what you think the author was talking about. That's a good way to test. If you can't say it, then you probably really don't know what it was talking about. So those are the 5 steps, but like I said, instead of me sitting here going on and on about them, let's take a look at a particular essay and see how it works in that essay, some of these points here. Okay, so here's that essay I was referring to. It's called The Afflictions of Affluence. The Afflictions of Affluence. Let me get that centered. There we go. So we were talking about previewing or anticipating. Well, let's stop here for just a second. The Afflictions of Affluence. Well, fine, it's a title, but it's more than a title. It's a hint as to what this author will be talking about. If you didn't know what afflictions was or affluence was, you'd look them up. But real quickly, let's pretend that you've looked them up or you already knew them. Afflictions means like a disease. It's something negative that you're now dealing with. And affluence, of course, is how much money you got in your pocket. It's the wealth of a country. So that seems odd to put those two things together, the negative of the positive. Everybody wants affluence. That's why people go to school. That's why they take on extra jobs. That's why they're hoping for raises. They want money. They want to have that nice house in the country. They want to have a nice new car. They want to have, etc., etc., etc. So we want that, and yet this says there are afflictions of affluence. So as we read, we should be thinking about what kinds of things may be talked about here. And look at his first paragraph. It may seem a bit unnatural, but more and more of our social problems and complaints stem from our affluence, not our poverty. So we always want to read the first paragraph pretty closely, because somewhere in there may be the point of the whole essay. And we got the point of this essay immediately. More and more of our problems are coming from affluence. Really? Okay, well, let's continue. Let's move down the page here. So we're on that first column. So he says that we've got a lot of problems and we got all these statistics. Nobody's going to remember those statistics. But then look at the end of the paragraph. When we were poor, obesity was not a big problem. Oh, now we want to read topic sentences very carefully here. The supposed villains here are fast food restaurants and food companies that have supersized us to corpulence. So did you notice we were talking before about obesity? And what's the word in the topic sentence here that lets us know it's still dealing with obesity? Do you see it? It's that word corpulence. If you didn't know that one, you would look it up and go, oh. So this is a paragraph that's going to continue about one of the problems of having money is that we tend to get ourselves a little too heavy, put on too much weight. So this whole paragraph is about that. Let's skip down to the next paragraph. Let's go way down there. Here we go. It's misleading to ascribe all the resulting flab to American self-indulgence. Let's just read the topic sentence again. Do you see anything that says this paragraph is going to continue talking about what it talked about before, or is it heading off in a new direction? There's a word there that should give it away. Flab. Take it back to the previous paragraph. Corpulence. Take it back to the opening paragraph at the end. Obesity. So we've got obesity. We've got corpulence. We've got flab. This whole first column of this essay is all about we are gaining too much weight because of having so much money. Let's see if it continues in the middle paragraph here. Is this the same thing we're talking about? Getting wealthier spawns other complaints. Oh, wait a minute. Other complaints. I think we're done with the obesity problem. So by reading these topic sentences, underlining them, we're ready to go. What else is there? One, do you see that word one? That means there are going to be more than one. One is what's called time squeeze. We won't talk about what he means by time squeeze, but let's continue. Let's go to the next paragraph. Still, people gripe. And in the middle of that paragraph, do you see a little past the halfway spot? Do you see the quotation mark? Time squeeze again. So is this a new point or is this still the same point? It's still the same point. So the whole first column, the first part we read was all about obesity as a problem. In this column, we've already got two paragraphs that deal with this thing called time squeeze, which you need to figure out what he means by time squeeze. Okay, so is this making sense? Let's take it down then to the last paragraph in the middle column. He makes a broader point. Okay, a broader point. So apparently it's still kind of to do with time squeeze, but what's the new problem? It's toward the end of this section here. Our individual culture worships choice, but too much of it leads to what he calls choice congestion. So what does he mean by choice congestion? So we go to the third paragraph over here. We've got all these choices that are out there, he says, but it's hard because there's so many products. We don't know if we're getting the right product. Let's go to the next paragraph. As material wants are satisfied, psychological desires ascend. That sounds like a new issue. What does that mean? Economic desires. So now psychological desires. So we will read that and we'll find out what he talks about there. Okay, let's go down to the end. None of this, none of what? None of the essay, none of this is the whole essay he's talking about, discredits the value of economic growth, etc., etc., and so he's starting to wrap up. And did you notice when he gets done, good essays do this, he brings up affluence, and last couple of sentences say, still affluence's afflictions endure and remind us of an eternal truth. It matters as individuals and as in society, not just how much wealth we have, but how well we use it. So there's a wrap up. So could you put that all together? Does this make sense? The afflictions of affluence. So what was the first column all about? One problem with affluence is overweight. Middle column, what were some other complaints? Time squeeze, took up 2 paragraphs. Moving over to the last section, it was overwhelming choice, basically. He calls it choice congestion. And then the next to last paragraph dealt with psychological problems that we get. And so it makes people feel lonely, for example. And then the last paragraph is the wrap-up. So just by looking at really obvious things, the topic sentences, the use of continued similar word choices and phrases that show you that each paragraph is dealing with the previous issue, or maybe it's something new. You can tell where the major divisions are in these essays. And you can put this together in a nice summary if you had to. Now, we just spent a couple of minutes going over this one, but I hope you understand the basic ideas of reading while reading closely. Looking up what you don't know. We did the anticipation at first. Afflictions of affluence, thought about that. Then started reading the essay. We marked it up. We would mark it up so that we knew what we had here. We could even interact. We could say, my mom came from an extremely poor family. My dad came from an extremely wealthy family. And you could talk about things that you noticed that they dealt with that might tie into the afflictions of affluence. You just jot brief notes so you could interact with this essay. So I hope that helps you. I hope this gives you some ideas. If you don't still feel like you're a really good reader, there are so many good reading courses that you can take. Colleges have some wonderful ones, and it'll cost you just a minimal amount of money. The one where I teach, Palomar, has an excellent reading department, so you might consider taking some reading classes. But beyond that, you can go on the internet. There are books out. You have to be a pretty dedicated person to use it. But anyway, so I hope you get serious about your reading. Read as much as you can, as often as you can. Make it a lifelong habit. It will not disappoint. It'll pay off in so many ways. All right, well, thanks. This is Gary Zacharias, and we're done.